morning, everyone, and welcome to another rendition of Speak Your Mind with Larry Cox. And as usual, it is fantastic to have my audience join me tonight. And I did something tonight. I didn't advertise the show tonight, put out a tag, just going to go generic tonight, see who showed up. And as usual, my loyal following has showed up to be on the show tonight. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and acknowledge everybody who has shown up tonight. So Mary Boysworth, thank you for joining us tonight. Vuka Russo, thank you for joining us. Cheryl Moulton, thank you. Marie Withers, thank you for joining us tonight. Sherry Thomas, thank you for joining me tonight. Lee Wright, thank you for joining tonight. Ben Garcia, Ben and Cheryl, thanks for joining me tonight. Clayton Orwig, thank you for joining me tonight. And William Campbell, thanks for joining me. And I see Charlotte Gellert sliding into the show tonight. Thanks for showing up tonight, Charlotte, for the show tonight. So I appreciate everything and that you showed up and that you are here. Thank everybody for showing up. We got a nice little crowd here this evening. Got a couple things I want to chat about, and as usual, you got something you want us to talk about, throw it in the chat. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's let some of the interaction be some things you guys want to talk about. So just want to throw it out there. Remember, guys, we have the city election coming up here soon. They'll start early voting in a few weeks. The election is in the first week of November. I'm going to pull my calendar up here. Up right here, calendar. I'm actually got my calendar. Flipping it back here. So it will be November the 4th will be election day. And then it'll be 3 weeks before that. Early voting will start. And remember, besides the city election, we have those public service commission elections, the PSC elections. So the whole county will be able to vote. The two city precincts will be voting for the city election and the public service commission, and everyone else in the county will be voting for the public service commission, just like everybody else in the state. That is a statewide election that will be going on, and it'll be interesting. I don't know if you guys know, in Cherokee and North Fulton, they just had an election up there. If you all may know Senator Brandon Beach. Well, Senator Beach got appointed to be the United States Treasurer. So when Senator Beach got appointed to be the United States Treasurer, then there became a vacancy of a state Senate seat up there, and they had one of those jungle primaries, and it was wild. They had a bunch of candidates run, and the top two candidates, no matter what party affiliation, if they don't, nobody gets 50+1. Well, there were so many Republicans that they split the vote so bad that the Democrat got 40% of the vote. And there was a Democrat and a Republican, Jason Dickerson, who ran, and Jason ended up winning that seat. He's a local businessman up there in Cherokee County. So I do want to congratulate Jason Dickerson on that victory. But, those elections go on all the time and you don't know about them. But that was a major election because where the Democrat did so well in the primary, in that jungle primary, they brought a lot of resources and a lot of money in, and they forced the Republican candidate, which was in a safe district, they forced them to spend a lot of money to retain that seat, because you guys all remember back in 2015, Janice Van Ness was able to win a safe Democrat seat at that time in one of these special elections. So the Democrats were hoping they were going to be able to do the same thing, and they ran a really good race, made the Republicans spend a lot of money. Jason Dickerson held on to that seat for the Republicans, but it was a heck of a race, and it was a heck of a campaign that they ran up there. So I just, those campaigns like that go on all the time when somebody resigns or somebody's appointed to something. That happens. But so you got to always pay attention. So Miss Osselbook, you got to remember her seat she vacated, and then they had to do a special election for it because it wasn't up this cycle. It would have been up next cycle. So that's why they've got that special election for her seat going on right now, where she resigned from it or whatever. But yeah, guys, we got a lot of Tom Harrison. Welcome to the show, and I think I seen somebody else come on the show a minute ago too. If I did, I missed. If I didn't say your name, yell at me and say I missed your name. But welcome to the show, Tom. But yeah, got to watch out for these special elections and stuff that come up sporadically here and there all the time. You never know, what's happening when one might come up and somebody in your area might decide to run for one. But yeah, that happens. I think one of the most interesting things we got that's going to happen next cycle in 26 is going to be the Congressional 13 race, where you've got everybody throwing their name into the hat, right? So that's going to be a very interesting race as we kick that into gear. And welcome James Colbert, and welcome George Kelichek. Welcome to the show tonight, guys. Thank you for joining the show this evening and joining the conversation. Like I said, guys, if there's something that's on your mind and you would like to throw it out in the chat to begin conversation about it, throw it out there. Let's engage with some good conversation. Like I said, we talked about the city elections, public service elections, talked about, pay attention to whenever these special elections come up on the radar. You never know when somebody's going to resign or something will happen. They're very in it. Good evening, Alex McDonald. Welcome to the show. Just so y'all know, Alex, he does a TPS report, and I've been listening to his shows here recently. Alex covers some national stuff, national conversation. Alex has had a lot of interesting conversation about free speech and how lucky we are to have free speech here, when he showed a comparison of what speech is like in Europe and especially Great Britain and England. I recommend to go and catch that last show that he did, where he showed people getting arrested just for voicing their opinion. And it's very interesting when you see what's going on all over the world, and what people are trying to do here in America to limit our speech. And that is really happening, whether we think it is or not. People do want to limit your speech. So, because in England, Alex would have already been in prison. I would be on the verge. But Alex, and you can chime in here if you want, you would have definitely already been arrested. Just no doubt in my mind, with some of the examples that you put on your show the other day, you can't go back across the pond, Al. You'd have you would have a target clearly on your back. Yes, Charlotte, the TPS report would be the platform. I mean, I think he covered that really well the other day, and especially he showed footage, right? He showed a judge sentencing someone for something ridiculous. He showed people being arrested by the police for actually just saying their opinion about something. I mean, I'm telling you, it's crazy, and we don't ever want that to happen here, and that's why we have to make sure that we fight, continue to fight for our free speech, because we never want to allow that to happen in America, what's happening over there. No, Alex is on Facebook now again, Charlotte. He actually started broadcasting on Facebook. So I'm gonna put this because Alex is true, right? I want to put it up there. And that was his own. I have no doubt, and it's not for saying anything criminal or remotely controversial. For example, saying I don't believe we should have pay welfare to illegal immigrants would get you arrested and jailed. One guy got 20 months in prison for that statement. Yeah, Alex, I watched that on your show the other day where the guy made that statement where he didn't want his tax dollars over there to go to pay for uh, to uh, uh, illegals to have health care and benefits. And they arrested him for making that statement. I saw that. Alex, do you want to put, because somebody, people they've asked, when is your show? Do you want to go ahead and put it out there? Go ahead and type something, let people know the days and times. Because Alex does his show, excuse me, on Mondays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. But why don't you, if you would just type something up in there and let them know where to actually go? Because I've been watching it on the Facebook feed here the last few weeks, but he does it on Facebook and he does it on another channel also. But if you want to just put that out there, Alex, I'm sure some of the viewers here would definitely go and watch some of that. Because I mean, to me, I mean, I actually called Alex, the day following the show, and told him, and I enjoyed the show and it was an excellent show on speech, and it was just interesting. I'm going to put something up here. I was probably going to talk about the host tonight. Um, so at the housing assessment town hall, ARC had millage rates for 11 counties and stated Rockdale was the highest. Commissioner Williams spoke and said, we get the host, which is 5% of the millage. I'm confused. The host was a little over 2 million in 2022 at the millage rate here. And she said they needed 6.6 million to show we qualify for the bonds, which is 2 mills. That's how I see the host. Um, so this is the thing about it, guys. So Alex and I have had this conversation, and we've talked about this. The host is a tax that you're getting a credit when tax season, when you go and you prepaying it through that 1 cent sales tax, and you're paying it. People who come from other places, anybody who buys anything in the county is paying that 1 cent, which is going toward that host, which has to offset some of your taxes because you get that credit. And I like the host tax. I think it's a tax that gives you that credit. I mean, and I'll tell you, Alex, I'm gonna put this up in the thing. So Alex has put it up here. TPS report live Monday and Thursdays, 9 p.m. TPS report live on Facebook or Rumble, and then there you've got it, the website to watch the show. So yeah, guys, go watch the show. I mean, he's had some really good shows about free speech and just some things that have been going on in the country. And sometimes we don't get a perspective that's a broad perspective. And I think that's what Alex does. I think between him and Danny, they attempt to give you how each side is portraying it. Now, don't get me wrong, Alex is biased one direction, but Alex, I think, does give a good example of this is why the other side believes this and is doing this, and this is why this side believes this and is doing it. And and he thinks the one side is more right than the other, which I may do. I may also, right? But I think he does, give explanations for both and gives supporting documentation when he does deliver his opinion about one versus the other. So it is very interesting. So I mean, I recommend you, good show to watch, guys. But yeah, guys, I mean, we've got to be really careful about what's going on with speech, even though if you don't agree with what somebody says, by limiting and taking away the ability for them to saying it, they're coming after you next. So just because they came after the guy that you didn't like this time, and it's okay, remember, the foot can turn, that can turn, and the next person they can come after is you. So you got to remember, you've even got to protect the ability of someone to say things that you don't agree with. That's free speech. It's not selective free speech, but free speech. I just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, I go back to Corliss's thing about the millage rate and the host. I mean, I think the host is a good thing. I think if we didn't have the host, then we would be even a worse tax situation than what we are. I would actually like to see an education host, to be honest with you, and that's one of the things that Trey Bailey and I from Newton County have been discussing about an alternative funding mechanism for boards of education, because property, just solely on property tax, is not something that I think is sustainable, because especially in counties like Rockdale where you have an aging community, it's interesting. He was comparing the California Senate bill, which that they have in England. So yeah, like I said, I go watch that show and his comparison of that, and it's eye opening, enlightening, and a little scary, to be honest with you. But yeah, with the tax situation we're in, thank goodness for the host, right? Thank goodness for the host. And I would actually like to see an education host. I really would. That would actually also give some from property tax relief. You would shift some of that to yes, not agreeing with someone has nothing to do with free speech. But you're right, when you don't agree with them and you try to have them removed because you don't agree with them, that is limiting free speech. And that's what with this Senate bill that out there in California, 771, they're going to try to use that legislation to get social media platforms to limit speech. And like Alex's comment the other day when he said on his show, these media platforms are international and nationwide. If they have to do that in California, they're going to do it everywhere, because they're not just going to set policies here and there and here and there. They do these broad-based policies. So if California is successful with this, then what it does is it sets us up that they will be dictating how social media looks at us. And it'll be just like a few years ago and it's just reality. I mean, Alex, it was, a podcaster just like me. A few years ago, it was very difficult because you were always responding back to, you were getting hit with these things, and you were always having to go and defend yourself and fight to have these tags taken off of you. These were, you've been found in violation. You have the right to appeal. Man, I was always appealing things a few years ago, guys. And, any of you guys listen to me, I may say some things that are a little bit hard, right? But I don't think I crossed the line to where it comes to some of this stuff, right? But let me tell you what, I was having to appeal things and throw out, always, I disagree with this. I was not in violation. This was not a violation, and this is why it wasn't a violation. I mean, it was all the time. It was all the time you had to do this, and it was pressure from the Biden administration at the time to censor speech on social media networks, and that's just the reality, guys. Anybody who is a podcaster, who did a show of some type, knows that you went through that, and that's just the fact of it, right? And it's not happening as now as much. Uh, I've not had to do one at all this year. But like I said previously, guys, it's reality. Or yes, Tom, I agree 100% with Tom. I'm gonna put that on there. It says, remember, when you hear or see something on TV or radio you show, there's always that button to turn it off or change the channel. And that's correct. You can turn it off, change the channel. But yeah, but restricting and turning people off is just not the right way. I mean, that's just, my take on it, and that's what I believe. So, penny for a penny. There you go, George. Penny for penny. That when we talk about the host and the SPLOS and all these other things, it's penny for penny. So I would, like I said, I would like to see an education host. And then it would actually do the same thing as our host does. We would just see. So Alex, I'm going to put that up there because yes, that happened to you. Sure enough, did. Alex was banned from YouTube permanently for 100% certain for not 100% certain why, but it was to do with talking about Wuhan or talking about the election or talking about a certain laptop. So, but yeah, he was booted from Facebook permanent. I mean, not Facebook, but YouTube, and he wasn't certain if it was for talking about the coronavirus origin, a laptop, or election. He wasn't because they didn't tell him why. And Alex, if I'm not mistaken, you didn't have 3 strikes. Would that have been correct? I think you only had 2, 1 or 2. That would have you did not have 3 strikes when you got banned. So they violated their own policy by the way they banned you. So don't know. Yep, that happened. Sure enough, did. And like I was saying, and that was just an era we were in at that time. And like I said, it was very difficult to be a podcaster. It really was. I mean, I don't think you folks would really know how hard it was unless you were sitting behind one of these mics trying to manage the dings that you were getting in every week that you were having to fight back against and and explain your situation as to why you weren't in violation. Yeah, Alex, that is correct. They kicked them off before their own policies had said they were supposed to. So, I mean, and that happened. So that's what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And Corliss replying to you, Clayton, relief to the taxpayer. But yeah, that happened. And you can't make it up, right? So, when we talk about that there is a true fight in America to maintain free speech, I just don't think that people who don't do shows like this, who are not in the arena, really realize how under attack free speech is. And it is. Free speech is truly under attack because I personally look at it both sides. They both talk about free speech, but it's selective free speech. They only want the free speech to be what they like it to be, and that's just that's not free speech. Free speech is being able to listen to what somebody says that doesn't want you don't want to hear it, but they got the right to say it, and it's it can be difficult, but that's free speech. That and these people want to be selective. So, but yeah, I mean, that's just, that's the way it rolls, right? So, I am just, crazy. So I'm glad to see you guys are having that conversation about the host tax. Because Bill Campbell and I've talked about this several times. A lot of people to this day really do not understand the host. Um, and I'll tell you what I may do at some point. I may try to get the tax commissioner or the what I think I'll try to do. I think we're getting the tax commissioner on here one day and talking about the host. So that would be a good show, right? They let the tax commissioner come on here and talk about it. Ms. Russo, how do we keep free speech? By speaking, by keep on talking, keep on speaking your mind, and letting our legislators know, state and federal level, we don't want any legislation that restricts speech to be passed. We don't want any legislation that restricts our ability to freely speak to be passed. That's how we do it. We keep pressure on our elected officials. And if that means not voting for them and turning them over continuously, then that's what it means. Voting for people that align with you in free speech. Well, I'll tell you, speech is one of the most important things that we can fight for. In my opinion, it is the most important thing that we can fight for is our ability to maintain free speech so that we can inform ourselves of what's going on. I will tell you, when I was a teenager or my 20s, just thinking back, I would have never imagined that there would have been a platform or a media source like this that is here right now that would give someone like me a platform to reach thousands of people. Would have never imagined that a platform like this could exist in the future, but it does. Platforms like this exist, and you have many people that take to the internet waves and go on different platforms, and they speak and they talk. Tom, I wish it was just as simple as following our Constitution, but you have these people that try to find ways to skirt the Constitution, and that's the problem. When we people that try to bypass the Constitution, and that's just crazy, right? Just absolutely crazy. But we've got to continue the fight. We've got to be the modern patriots fighting for our rights in this country. Modern patriots. And we don't take up the sword. We don't take up the gun. We don't take up arms. We do it with our words. We do it with our words. People have the right to speak their mind, which helps us see who they truly are. I agree with that 100%, Stacey Bonner Lewis. That 100%. When people talk, you get to know what they stand for and who they really represent. It is very important. But this thing about it, if you've noticed, a lot of people who are in public life don't like to speak, and they don't like to put their thoughts out there because they don't want you to know what they're thinking about, or they give you propaganda and you never hear what they're really saying. And that's the most worrisome thing with me is I know people in public life, and I know what they say in public, and then I know what they say behind closed doors. And that is truly the scariest thing on the planet, is when you have individuals who won't be their authentic self in public. and you get this propaganda machine, this fake uh, dialogue thrown at you. Um, I mean, guys can go back forever and listen to the things that I have said, things that I talk about, things that I promote, and it's the same exact stuff. I don't deviate. Um, I stay true to uh, uh, to my core. Any of you have ever listened to me know I have been very passionate about uh, free speech forever. Anyone who's ever listened to me on anything know that free speech has always been a passion of mine. That it's something that I truly believe in. I believe in that you, the taxpayers, have a right and a say how your monies are spent, and that you need to come to public meetings. You need to reach out to your elected officials. You need to let them know what you're thinking. You need to let them know when you're not pleased with how they're spending your money. Like I said, it's your money, so you have the right to reach out to those individuals. But this is the thing about it, and this is what I'll tell you, it really scares me. You do not get to see the authentic person a lot of times. A lot of times they are not authentic. And that is worrisome and it's troublesome. So be cautious. Be very cautious um, of because someone may change their mind or opinion on an issue, and there is nothing wrong with that. But to bounce back and forth on issues. One day it's okay to do this. One day it's not okay to do it. One time it's okay to do it. Next time it's not okay to do it. That they're not a genuine. They are not genuine and not sincere. They are not genuine and not sincere, and that's the reality. So just wanted throw that out there for a minute. Uh, Anybody got anything else they'd like to? True, because they are in fear of people or elected officials or our highest government to destroy them or their families. So I, I'm not afraid of that. Um, I I speak my mind. I say the values that I believe in. I say what I think, and you know, and I'm prepared to accept any consequences that come my way because I so deeply believe in free speech and flip floppers. There you go, Pamela Lowry, flip floppers. But yeah, I mean, that's just what we've got to do. Stand for values. Stand for values. So, guys, anything else you guys would like to chat about? We've hit some topics tonight, and then, like I said, I've stayed strong on this free speech thing because I want you guys to know. Uh, Tom Harrison, I agree with that. Tom says he's lost 2 elections by speaking of my mind and not wavering, and that's exactly what you have to do. I'll tell you guys, Alex, you'll remember this, right? What was one of the first things I was getting hammered about, when I was running, and then after I got elected? You need to stop doing your show. You need to quit doing your show. You need to stop doing your show. Uh, you need to quit doing the show, stop doing the show, right? I just got hammered with that, and I just said, no, I'm not going to stop doing this show. I can do more than one thing at a time. I can be an elected official, and I can do this show. And I had so many people reach out to me that wanted me to do the show, but to be real, people who didn't want me to do the show are people who really didn't want me to do the show before I became an elected official. So, so they didn't want me to do the show, and they said, "Well, it'll harm you." I don't really think it's going to harm me. I mean, I've never hid who I am, what I stand for, or the values that I believe we should have as a community. So so be it. I mean, that the people need to know they get who they get. And Voices for Rockdale, I wanted to put this up here. I read the students are adjusting well to the pouches. So again, let me throw my disclaimer out there, right? So what I'm going to say is not the opinion is I cannot say is the opinion of the board or the district. I am a member of the school board, and I'm also an individual. So what I'm going to say now is not, I am not representing the opinion of the school district, right? So from what I gather, they did this survey and the kids said they don't like the pouches, but they admitted that the pouches are effective and that they themselves are able to focus better without having their phones. They don't like it, but they acknowledge that they do better by not having access to their devices. Again, they don't like it, but they acknowledge that it is working. So so they're the thing it is. So you're right, Corliss, it's working. They don't like it, but they acknowledge that it's working. So, Alex, they're terrified of you telling us what's going on behind the scene. It shows both sides of you, a citizen and elected officials, what Corliss says. And then the fact is the only reason we will start to get accurate data now is because you do the show. So, Alex, I would hope that we would, and that's how I'll answer that question. I would hope that we would. So that's the best way I'm going to answer it, is that I would hope we would, right? Hope we would. Let me see. I got to back up here. I got some more people. So, Corliss, you say they're Charlotte. They say they're having a SPLOST oversight meeting Monday the 20th, 6 p.m. at JP Carr, and a BOC budget public hearing Tuesday, October 21st at 6 at the Assembly Hall. So those are some important meetings. The whole oversight SPLOST committee meeting at October the 20th, and October 21st, the budget hearing. Alice said tactful. So, Alex, I am attempting to become tactful. Not certain how good I am at it, but I am attempting to put that ability into my catalog here. William Campbell, good answer, Larry Cox. So, but that's what I'm attempting to do. Attempting to use a little more tact, but still be honest. But guys, I think we're getting a lot more transparency from the county now. I think you're seeing transparency from the Board of Education. I still question the city. Just going to be on. It's going to be real, right? So I think the city gets to fly under the radar a lot. And there are people in this chat that I know we've had this discussion, and they agree with that statement that in the past, the Board of Education and especially the Board of Commission have been maybe a little bit more controversial, and the city gets to slide under the radar. So, Voices for Rockdale, just put your suit on and then you become a different person if they laugh out loud. So that's interesting. So that is funny, Corliss. That is funny. But no, when you take on one role versus another, So in this role, I'm a little more out there, a little more flamboyant, a little more mouthy. Um, when I put the suit on, or I go and become, uh, you know, act as a board member, then I behave appropriately for that position, right? And it's all about uh, being the best you can be at what you're doing, and that's even at my work, at my job. Uh, my demeanor and my behavior is different than from when I'm doing this podcast and when I'm on the board, uh, because I have to become a different person to be able to do that job. So you need to be the person you need to be to do what you're doing at the time, and that's what you know. Tom says, watch the city, especially the new planning commission. So yeah, you're right, Al. I mean, you know, it's Alex says it's. I'll put that up there. It's professional. You're not a different person. You're in a professional environment. This is a casual environment, and you're right. And it's behaving the way you need to behave in the environment that you're in. And uh, I mean, I'm my job. I am in a very tough environment, very hard, very tough. So so uh, yeah, I might that environment you encounter me in that Larry. Sometimes I don't like that Larry. Just being real with you, because that Larry can be pretty tough, and then but that's the Larry you got to be, right? That is how you have to be when you're running a business, and especially a business that is a tough business. It is a tough business. So, but yeah, that's the way it goes. Well, guys, I'll tell you, it's 8:45. Um, but he's still Larry transparent. That would be accurate. That would be accurate. So 45 minutes. We have did 45 minutes on this show again this evening, and I think we had robust conversation. I think it was enlightening. I think it was conversation that was needed, and I think we each and every one got something out of this conversation tonight. I think each and every one of you that contributed to the conversation, because contributing to this conversation, that's right. So yeah, Alex, exactly. Business is Larry has to make decisions that friend Larry may not want to make. So the truth. But yeah, guys, like I said, thank you all for joining. Thanks for the dialogue. Thanks for just this interaction, and thanks for the free speech. And may it continue. May it continue. Guys, uh, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get off, but we're going to come back, and we're going to rehash these conversation. We're going to continue speaking our mind, speaking freely, and and thank you for being the loyal people that you are. Just like Clayton said, even without advertising, we had a good show. So, guys, I can't wait to see you next Sunday, same place, same time, Facebook, YouTube, 8 p.m. Be here and let's engage in